Hey, it's Ashley from Demystifying Your Health. Welcome! Today we're going to be talking about heat illness. When you are outside in the summer, it's hot, and this can impact your body significantly. Your reaction can be mild, moderate, or severe. How do you know which type you're experiencing? And how do you treat any of them? Heat illness is how your body responds when it's exposed to warmer temperatures. Your sensitivity depends on the air temperature and humidity, your activity level, and your overall health. The mildest form are heat cramps. This is when you have intermittent muscle cramping, which can result in spasming or jerky movements. Most often is the result of working or exercising in a hot environment and not being accustomed to it. It can occur immediately or several hours later. The cause is unknown, but thought to be related to an electrolyte imbalance, specifically the loss of sodium when sweating. Most often, heat cramps will get better on their own. A moderate reaction is heat exhaustion. This occurs when you've exposed your body to warmer temperatures and are dehydrated due to lack of fluid intake. It's strongly related to heat index. Heat index is when you have the actual air temperature and then humidity, which creates the feel-like air temperature. So, for instance, if it's 90 degrees and you have humidity and it now makes it feel like 100 degrees, that would be the heat index of 100 degrees. A relative humidity of 60% or more significantly impacts your body's ability to cool down because it decreases the ability of sweat evaporation. It's important to note that heat index is higher when you're actually in the sun versus when you're in the shade, but can still occur in the shade. There are two main types of heat exhaustion: water depletion and salt depletion. Water depletion can be recognized by excessive thirst, fatigue, weakness, and loss of consciousness. Salt depletion can be recognized by nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and muscle cramps. In either case, if left untreated, they can both progress to heat stroke, which is the most severe type, and a medical emergency. On a side note, if you pass out due to heat, it's called heat syncope. This is your body's way of trying to regulate your internal temperature. It does this by dilating your blood vessels, trying to help you cool down. Well, this dilation causes a drop in blood pressure, which decreases blood flow to your brain, which means you pass out. Usually it lasts only a few seconds. The most severe type of heat-related illness is heat stroke. It's when your core body temperature is above 104 degrees Fahrenheit. This can result in damage to your brain and other internal organs, and if not treated, can lead to death. Symptoms include fainting, dizziness, no sweating. Their skin is going to be dry and most likely red and hot. Muscle cramps, nausea, vomiting, a rapid heart rate, rapid shallow breathing, confusion, seizures, and unconsciousness. If you or anyone you know is having any of these symptoms, you need to call 911 immediately. There is a separate subsection of heat stroke called exertional heat stroke, which is when a young, healthy person is exercising vigorously in a hot environment. If this happens, it's acceptable to give them an ice bath to help them cool down. For any other individuals, you should not do this because it can actually result in death. Okay, when it comes to treating heat illness, there are several different steps to take. For heat cramps, you're going to want to remove them from the hot environment. Obviously, you're going to do this for any heat illness, but especially with heat cramps, get out of the hot environment by going into the shade or going inside to like an air-conditioned space. The next, you want to replace electrolytes and fluids. One of the ways to do this is you drinking a sports drink, like Gatorade, Powerade, something like that. If you don't have those available, you can make your own solution by mixing about 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon of salt in about 1 quart of water. While this won't taste as good as the sports drink, it'll get the job done. You'll be rehydrated a little bit. If after doing these your condition does not improve, then you want to go to the doctor and get some medical help. Usually the emergency room is the place to go. For those who have heat exhaustion or heat stroke, you also want to remove any tight and unnecessary clothing. This is going to help them cool down. If possible, have them take a cool shower or bath, because this will also help cool the body down. For the person with heat stroke, though, you want to make sure you stay with them because of the fact that they might lose consciousness, so you don't want them to drown. If this is not available, you want to go ahead and put ice packs to the person's armpit, groin, neck, and back. These areas help. There's a lot of blood flow. It helps to get that overall body to cool down. Regardless of any of this, if a person's having heat stroke, they need to go to the hospital to be treated there. This is just measures to do until they get there, and then the medical personnel will be able to take over and help the person recover. If a person who has heat exhaustion symptoms are not getting any better after doing these, then you definitely want to take them to the hospital as well. And on a side note, for anybody who's having any form of heat illness, they are going to be more sensitive to heat for about a week after the event. So make sure they aren't outside doing activities and all this other stuff, because you don't want them to obviously have a relapse and have another issue. There are several things that you can do to prevent heat illnesses. The first is to drink extra non-caffeinated, non-alcoholic fluids. This can be water, but it's also important to drink fluids that have electrolytes in them, such as sports drinks, because when you're sweating, your body is losing these. So the current recommendations are to drink about 17 to 20 ounces about 2 to 3 hours before you start exercising, and then to drink about 8 ounces right before you start, and then every 20 minutes, even if you're not thirsty, drink another 7 to 10 ounces, and then when you're done exercising, drink 8 ounces within that first 30 minutes. Also take breaks in the shade frequently. This is key because it's cooler in the shade. Wearing lightweight, light-colored, loose-fitting clothing and a wide brim hat is also important because this is going to help your body stay cool without getting sunburnt. Which is why you also want to wear sunscreen. When your body's sunburnt, the way it processes fluids is different, and you end up dehydrated much quicker. For those individuals who have unair-conditioned environments that they live in, or they don't have fans, it's important to spend some time in an air-conditioned space, at least a couple hours a day, to help your body to cool off, allow it to regulate. So you also want to keep the blinds or curtains closed during the day because this keeps out the sun. And at night, open windows on 2 opposite sides of the house because this allows for a cross breeze to come through. For senior citizens who are lower income and might have some trouble affording air conditioning, there's assistance out there called the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP. And what they can do is they can help find a way for you to be able to have air conditioning in your home. That way you're not having to deal with this, because elderly individuals, along with children, are more susceptible to fluctuations in heat because their body does not regulate it as well as individuals who are middle-aged. By following everything we just talked about, you'll hopefully avoid heat cramps, heat exhaustion, or heat stroke, and still be able to enjoy some summertime fun, even though it's hot outside. Stay healthy.